If love is hurting you more than it's healing you, it may be time to choose yourself. At some point in life, almost all of us fall in love so deeply that we begin to believe we are incomplete without the other person. We tie our happiness to their mood, our peace to their attention, and our self-worth to the way they treat us. Slowly, our world begins to shrink until it revolves around just one person. In the beginning, everything feels beautiful. Every message brings a smile. Every call feels special. Every meeting feels unforgettable. There is excitement, warmth, and a sense of belonging. But with time, something begins to change. The effort becomes one-sided. Replies arrive later than they used to. Excuses replace enthusiasm. Respect begins to fade quietly. And love slowly starts turning into pain. The hardest part is not the change. The hardest part is accepting that it has changed. So we make excuses. Maybe they are busy. Maybe they are stressed. They didn't mean it. Things will get better. I just need to be patient. And while we wait and hope and tolerate, we slowly begin to lose something far more valuable than the relationship. We begin to lose ourselves. We get used to being ignored. We normalize late replies. We rename disrespect as misunderstanding. We silence our feelings to avoid conflict. One day, we realize we were not living in love. We were living in tolerance. The truth is, love is not meant to exhaust you emotionally. Love is not meant to make you anxious. Love is not meant to make you question your worth. If you constantly feel unsure about where you stand in someone's life, what you are experiencing is not security, it is confusion. Many people say love requires sacrifice, and yes, it does. But sacrifice should never cost you your dignity, your mental peace, or your sense of self. If you are silencing your voice to keep someone from leaving, if you are afraid to express your feelings, if you walk on emotional eggshells to avoid upsetting them, that is not love, that is fear. And relationships built on fear never bring peace. In a healthy relationship, you do not need to hide who you are. You do not need to pretend to be perfect. You do not need to apologize for your feelings. Real love makes you feel safe. It listens. It understands. It supports. It does not break you. It builds you. But when a relationship begins to break your spirit, steal your sleep, dim your smile, and weaken your self-worth, staying and suffering is not strength. Sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. We often stay because we fear what others will think. We stay because we fear being alone. We stay because we fear that losing the relationship means losing our world. But the truth is, your world does not end with one person. Your life does not stop after one relationship. Your identity is not defined by someone else's love. The greatest loss is not a breakup. The greatest loss is losing yourself. When you abandon your self-respect just to prevent someone from leaving, you end up abandoning yourself. And one of the most painful feelings in life is becoming a stranger to your own soul. It is important to understand that self-respect is not ego. Self-respect is recognizing your worth, protecting your emotional boundaries, knowing that you deserve to be treated with care and dignity. You do not have to beg for love. You do not have to chase attention. You do not have to justify someone's hurtful behavior. Where respect is absent, staying is not loyalty. It is self-neglect. And there comes a moment in life when a person must tell themselves a difficult truth. I deserve peace. I deserve respect. I deserve emotional safety. This realization doesn't come overnight. It comes after sleepless nights, silent tears, and a heart that is simply tired of hurting. And in that quiet moment of clarity, something begins to shift. You stop asking, why am I not enough? And you begin asking, why am I accepting less than I deserve? That question marks the beginning of healing, because the journey of choosing self-respect is not about losing love, it is about finding yourself again. And sometimes, choosing yourself is the first step towards the kind of love that doesn't hurt. There comes a moment in life when the pain becomes too heavy to ignore. Not loud, not dramatic, just quietly overwhelming. You smile in public but feel empty inside. You check your phone hoping for a message that never comes. You replay conversations in your mind, wondering what you did wrong. You blame yourself for someone else's distance. And slowly, you begin to feel invisible in a relationship where you once felt cherished. This is the moment many people start questioning their worth. They ask themselves, am I asking for too much? Am I too sensitive? Maybe I'm the problem. But wanting respect is not asking for too much. Wanting clarity is not being needy. Wanting emotional safety is not weakness. These are basic emotional needs, not unreasonable demands. Yet when love turns painful, people often shrink themselves to fit into spaces where they are no longer valued. They speak less, they expect less, they accept less. Not because they deserve less, but because they are afraid to lose what little remains. But here is a truth many people discover too late. You cannot keep someone by losing yourself. The more you abandon your needs, the more resentment grows inside you. The more you tolerate disrespect, the more your self-worth erodes. The more you silence your truth, the further you drift from who you truly are. And eventually, you wake up feeling emotionally exhausted, not because you loved too much, but because you endured too much. Love should not feel like a constant emotional test. It should not leave you feeling drained, anxious, or insecure. Real love brings calmness, not chaos, clarity, not confusion, security, not fear. When love is real, you do not feel like you are competing for attention. You do not feel like you must earn basic kindness. You do not feel like your presence is a burden. Instead, you feel seen, you feel valued, you feel emotionally safe. And if you've never experienced that kind of love, you may begin to believe that pain is normal. It is not. Pain can visit a relationship, but it should never live there. There's a difference between temporary struggles and ongoing emotional neglect. Struggles can strengthen a bond when both people are willing to grow. Neglect slowly destroys connection when only one person is trying. You deserve reciprocity. You deserve effort. You deserve emotional presence. Choosing self-respect does not mean you stop loving someone. It means you stop abandoning yourself. It means you stop accepting behavior that breaks your spirit. It means you choose emotional health over emotional attachment. And yes, choosing yourself can feel terrifying. You may fear loneliness. You may fear regret. You may fear that no one else will come into your life. But staying in a relationship that diminishes you is a deeper loneliness than being alone, because loneliness is not the absence of people. Loneliness is the absence of emotional connection. Many people remain in painful relationships simply because they fear the unknown. They choose familiar pain over unfamiliar peace. But healing begins the moment you choose peace. Choosing yourself does not mean your heart becomes cold. It does not mean you stop believing in love. It does not mean you give up on connection. It means you create space for a healthier love to enter your life. Because when you begin honoring your worth, your standards rise. When your standards rise, your choices improve. And when your choices improve, your life begins to change. Self-respect teaches others how to treat you. It sends a silent message. I value myself. I will not accept less than I deserve. I choose peace over emotional chaos. And the right people will never be intimidated by that. They will respect it. They will admire it. They will match it. Because healthy love does not require you to shrink. It invites you to expand. Letting go of what hurts you is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of growth. It is choosing healing over attachment, peace over anxiety, wholeness over emotional survival. There may be days when you miss them, moments when memories return, times when your heart feels heavy. Healing is not a straight path, but every day you choose self-respect, you rebuild the relationship that matters most, the one you have with yourself. And when you finally begin to feel peace within, you realize something powerful. You did not lose love, you lost pain. You did not lose connection, you lost confusion. You did not lose them, you found yourself. And sometimes, finding yourself is the greatest love story of all. Healing does not arrive all at once. It begins quietly, in the moments when you stop checking your phone every few minutes, in the nights when you finally sleep without replaying old conversations, in the mornings when your chest feels lighter than it did before. At first, the silence feels unfamiliar. You are used to emotional chaos, used to uncertainty, used to waiting. And now there is space. Space where anxiety once lived. Space where confusion once echoed. Space where your heart once felt heavy. This space can feel strange, but it is also where peace begins. When you walk away from a love that hurt you, you do not immediately feel strong. You may feel grief. You may feel doubt. You may feel the urge to go back to what is familiar. This is normal. You are not just letting go of a person. You are letting go of routines, hopes, memories, and imagined futures. You are releasing the version of life you once believed in, and that takes courage. Some days you will miss them, not because they were right for you, but because they were familiar to you. Familiarity can feel like comfort, even when it contains pain. But as time passes, something begins to shift inside you. You begin to notice how peaceful your days feel. You begin to notice how your thoughts are quieter. You begin to notice how your energy is no longer drained by emotional uncertainty. For the first time in a long while, you are not walking on emotional eggshells. You are breathing freely. And in that freedom, you begin to rediscover yourself. You reconnect with parts of you that were silenced. You rediscover interests you abandoned. You laugh more easily. You feel present again. You start making decisions based on what feels healthy, not what feels safe. And slowly, your self-worth begins to rebuild, not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily. You stop questioning your value. You stop chasing validation. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's emotional limitations. Instead, you begin to stand in your truth. You understand now that love should not require you to abandon your dignity. You understand that peace is not negotiable. You understand that respect is not optional. And most importantly, you understand that being alone is not the same as being lonely. Loneliness once came from feeling unseen in a relationship. Now solitude feels like a place of restoration. You learn to enjoy your own company. You learn to trust your own decisions. You learn to comfort your own heart. This is where true strength is born, not from enduring pain, but from choosing healing. As you grow, your perspective on love begins to change. You no longer crave intensity, you value consistency. You no longer chase attention, you appreciate presence. You no longer confuse emotional highs and lows with passion. You recognize that real love feels steady, safe, and peaceful. You begin to understand that love should add to your life, not consume it. And something beautiful happens when you fully choose yourself. You stop fearing abandonment because you realize you will never abandon yourself again. This realization changes everything. It changes the way you communicate. It changes the boundaries you set. It changes the energy you allow into your life. You no longer tolerate behavior that diminishes your spirit. You no longer chase people who are unsure about you. You no longer settle for partial love, because you have experienced what it feels like to lose yourself, and you refuse to go back there again. Choosing self-respect does not make you difficult to love. It makes you ready for healthy love. It ensures that when love enters your life again, it will meet a stronger, wiser, and more grounded version of you. A version of you that understands boundaries. A version of you that values emotional safety. A version of you that knows peace is essential, not optional. And when the right love arrives, it will not feel confusing. It will feel calm. It will feel supportive. It will feel secure. There will be no guessing, no emotional games, no silent punishments, no constant anxiety, just clarity, respect, and mutual care. Until then, your journey is not incomplete. This season of your life is not empty. It is sacred. It is where you rebuild. It is where you heal. It is where you learn to love yourself in ways you never did before. And when you look back one day, you will not regret choosing yourself. You will feel grateful. Grateful that you walked away from what broke you. Grateful that you protected your peace. Grateful that you honored your worth. Because choosing self-respect was never about losing love. It was about finding the kind of love that begins within you. And that kind of love will never hurt you. There comes a time when you stop looking backward. Not because the past no longer matters, but because it no longer controls you. The memories may still exist. Certain songs may still remind you of what once was. Certain places may still carry echoes of old emotions, but the pain is no longer sharp. It is softened into understanding. You no longer ask, "Why did this happen to me?" Instead, you begin to ask, "What did this teach me?" And that question marks the beginning of wisdom, because every painful relationship leaves behind lessons, if you are willing to learn from them. You learn that love without respect cannot survive. You learn that attention without consistency creates insecurity. You learn that promises without action slowly destroy trust. Most importantly, you learn that ignoring red flags does not make them disappear. It only delays the moment you must face the truth. When you begin honoring your self-respect, something powerful shifts within you. You stop trying to convince people to see your value. You stop over-explaining your needs. You stop apologizing for having emotional boundaries. Instead, you become clear. Clear about what you deserve. Clear about what you will accept. Clear about what you will walk away from. Clarity is not harsh. Clarity is healthy. It protects your peace. And when you protect your peace, you begin to attract a different kind of energy into your life. Because the way you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. When you tolerate disrespect, you invite more of it. When you accept inconsistency, you normalize instability. When you abandon your needs, you teach others they do not matter. But when you stand in your self-worth, you send a silent message. I value myself. I honor my emotional well-being. I will not shrink to fit into unhealthy spaces. And the right people will recognize that immediately. Healthy love is not intimidated by boundaries. Healthy love respects them. Healthy love thrives within them. You may notice that as you grow, certain connections begin to fade. People who were comfortable with the old version of you may feel uneasy around the stronger version of you. This is not a loss. This is alignment. Growth often requires releasing what no longer matches who you are becoming, and that includes relationships that were built on imbalance rather than mutual respect. Choosing self-respect does not isolate you. It refines your circle. It filters out relationships rooted in convenience and creates space for connections built on sincerity. As you continue this journey, you begin to feel a quiet confidence within yourself. Not loud, not arrogant, not performative, just steady. You no longer need constant reassurance. You no longer seek approval from everyone around you. You no longer measure your worth by someone else's attention. You know who you are, and that inner stability changes the way love enters your life. You stop chasing intensity. You stop confusing emotional turbulence with passion. You stop equating unpredictability with excitement. Instead, you begin to value calmness, because calmness is not boring. Calmness is safety. Calmness is trust. Calmness is emotional security. The love meant for you will not feel like a roller coaster. It will feel like solid ground beneath your feet. It will not leave you guessing. It will not leave you anxious. It will not leave you questioning your worth. It will feel natural, easy in communication, clear in intention, consistent in presence, and most importantly, it will allow you to remain yourself. Not a smaller version, not a quieter version, not a filtered version, your full self. Because the right love does not require self-abandonment, it encourages self-expression. Until that love arrives fully into your life is not on hold. This chapter of choosing yourself is not an empty waiting room. It is a period of becoming wiser, becoming stronger, becoming emotionally grounded, becoming whole. Wholeness is powerful. When you are whole, you do not seek someone to complete you. You welcome someone to share life with you, and there is a profound difference between the two. Completion seeks rescue. Wholeness invites partnership. When you choose self-respect, you move from emotional survival to emotional strength. You stop fearing abandonment because you know you will never abandon yourself again. You stop settling for less because you understand your worth. You stop chasing love because you have become aligned with it. And one day, you will look back at the moment you chose yourself, and you will realize it was not the end of love. It was the beginning of a healthier, deeper, and more peaceful kind of love. A love rooted in respect, a love grounded in emotional safety, a love that supports growth rather than suppressing it. But before that love arrives fully into your life, it begins within you. Because the moment you honor your worth, protect your peace, and stand in your self-respect, you become the safe place your own heart was searching for. And from that place of wholeness, the love you attract will never ask you to hurt yourself to keep it.
There comes a day when you no longer feel the need to explain your silence. You no longer feel the urge to check whether they noticed your absence. You no longer wonder if they miss you. You no longer measure your value through their attention. And in that quiet emotional shift, you realize something powerful. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You have chosen yourself. At one time, that idea may have felt impossible. You believed love required endurance. You believed staying proved loyalty. You believed leaving meant failure. But growth changes perspective. You begin to understand that staying where you are repeatedly hurt is not loyalty, it is self-abandonment. You understand that love should not require you to shrink, silence, or sacrifice your dignity. You understand that protecting your peace is not selfish, it is necessary. And once you understand this, something inside you settles. The inner chaos fades, the constant overthinking slows, the emotional heaviness lifts. For the first time in a long while, you feel aligned with yourself. This alignment does not mean you never feel sadness. It does not mean memories disappear. It does not mean healing is instant. Healing is gentle. Healing is gradual. Healing is a process of returning to yourself. There may still be moments when you think about what could have been, moments when nostalgia softens your heart, moments when you miss the good times. But missing someone does not mean they were right for you. It means they were part of your journey. And every journey leaves behind lessons meant to guide you forward. You learned to recognize emotional neglect. You learned the importance of reciprocity. You learned that love cannot grow where respect is absent. You learned that your voice deserves to be heard. Most importantly, you learned that your worth is not negotiable. That lesson alone can transform the rest of your life. Because once you know your worth, you stop accepting half-hearted love. You stop chasing inconsistent people. You stop pouring energy into connections that drain your spirit. Instead, you begin choosing what chooses you. You begin welcoming relationships that feel safe. You begin valuing consistency over intensity. You begin recognizing that peace is more fulfilling than emotional highs and lows. This is emotional maturity. It is not coldness. It is not detachment. It is clarity. You are not closing your heart. You are protecting it. And protecting your heart ensures that when love enters again, it will meet a version of you that is grounded, aware, and emotionally strong. A version of you that knows the difference between attention and care, between attraction and respect, between attachment and genuine love. You will no longer confuse temporary excitement with lasting connection, because real love does not leave you guessing. It shows up. It stays consistent. It communicates clearly. It respects boundaries. It supports growth. Real love does not ask you to betray yourself to keep it. And until that love arrives, you are not incomplete. Your life is not on pause. This chapter of your life is not a waiting period. It is a rebuilding season. A season of rediscovering joy. A season of reconnecting with your purpose. A season of strengthening your relationship with yourself. When you learn to enjoy your own company, you stop fearing loneliness. When you trust your own decisions, you stop seeking constant validation. When you honor your own needs, you stop abandoning yourself for acceptance. This is freedom. Freedom from emotional dependence. Freedom from constant anxiety. Freedom from the fear of being alone. And in this freedom, something beautiful happens. You begin living fully again. You laugh with heaviness. You breathe without tightness in your chest. You experience moments without overthinking them. You feel present. Peace replaces confusion. Clarity replaces doubt. Self-respect replaces insecurity. And one day, without realizing when it happened, you will notice. Your heart no longer aches the way it used to. The pain that once felt permanent has softened into strength. The experience that once broke you has rebuilt you. The love that once hurt you has taught you how to love yourself. And that may be the greatest transformation of all. Because when you love yourself with respect, patience, and compassion, you stop accepting anything less from the world. Choosing yourself was never about rejecting love. It was about rejecting pain disguised as love. It was about choosing peace over emotional chaos, respect over neglect, wholeness over survival. And when you choose self-respect, you do not lose love. You make space for the kind of love that honors your heart instead of hurting it. Until then, remember this. You are not too much. You are not difficult to love. You are not meant to shrink to be accepted. You are meant to be respected. You are meant to feel safe. You are meant to be loved in a way that does not break you. And the moment you fully believe that, you will never settle for less again. Because choosing yourself was never the end of love. It was the beginning of a love that finally feels like peace.